No, the air seems to be on pretty high.
That's good.
The people up here have told you back there don't want that color. All right, so it's 6:30, so I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to call roll call. Darren Lopez.
Here.
Renee Trinidad.
Here.
Krishna Velasco. And Gina Greshner. Okay. I'm not sure, I'm wondering, I thought that, maybe that's wrong. I know you sent back an email, right? Yes. Okay, so you're getting them. All right, I'm going to, sorry about that, just close it. All right. Call to order at 6:35. Okay, I am first going to say that I'm going to take the agenda out of order and do the presentation first by Brian, so that we can get that business done before our other board member leaves, our committee member. And secondly, although it's called as a joint meeting, that was for purposes of not violating the Brown Act, should I have too many people show up from the neighborhood council. Only the committee members will be allowed to vote on any issues. Thirdly, and this is why I don't want you to leave, actually, I am not going to vote on any issues that concern the business improvement district. So I will be here for the meeting, but I'm a board member on that, so I will recuse myself from any vote. So that being said, we're going to have Brian start talking. Brian, am I in your way here?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
Now you can maybe move that over a little higher there too.
Yeah. Well, everything here they have in the handouts too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Brian Miller, the Executive Director of the Business Improvement District with Granada Hills. I know most of you. I've just met a few of you. And basically what I'm here tonight is the bid has an ongoing project which I want to talk about a little bit because it is in reference to the purpose of us being here in regards to sort of an ancillary project to this one. So right now, this is White Oak and Chatsworth, so north, south, east, west. And there's, if you're familiar, there's these 4 parkways. Right now, dirt, 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 and some shrubs on this one. So this is to improve those 4 parkways. The light green is turf. The dark green is landscaping. If you go to the second page, you can just see some of the, it would be landscaping like ground cover, shrubs, flowering things, that sort of stuff. It would be the dark green. This serpentine red is a brick seating wall, a serpentine seating wall. And then some benches, trash cans. This is a dog watering and poop bag station by the vet. And did I miss anything? Some potted plants, the pink things, would be big pots. And that's really, this is the project. So a lot of you, if you were at the council meeting a year ago when we presented this, I don't know if you remember it, we've been in plan check ever since. But we're getting close. I actually have the permit, pending approved stamp plans, which are right now hung up on some drainage testing results that the city's requiring. So once we get over that hurdle, we should be able to start scheduling work, knock on wood, by third quarter, well, we are in third quarter, a little bit later in the fall, hopefully. So that's just to bring everybody up to speed. That's this project. One of the parts of this project, and you actually can see it on the plans, is a town clock right here on the northwest corner. The bid only has a limited amount of funding and a budget through its term. The project has consumed the entire budget without the clock. So, through public meetings and other things and feedback from other people, the town clock has really generated a lot of excitement from people. It seems to be something people, want to see happen and are desiring. But for the bid to do it, we have to fundraise because we don't have any funds. And so that's the purpose of here, because we understand there's a beautification community grant that the council has potentially available to fund, part, I don't think in whole, but at least maybe a substantial part of the clock. So if you go to, knock everything over. Thank you. Almost. So to the clock, right now, what we found is basically 2 clock manufacturers out there that do this. One is a full package. They deliver, they install, they service it, they warranty it, they do everything. The other guy just delivers it. So we're kind of leaning towards the full package guy. It's a lot easier. And so that company, they basically have 3 price points of clocks. There's like a $9,000 to $12,000 range clock, but they're really short. They're like 8 feet. And those we think is a mistake because taggers, it's just too accessible. And it would look too short. Then they have, on the other side, $30,000 to $40,000 clocks, which are monstrous and huge. That is just, I think, too expensive. The middle road is $15,000 to $20,000. And they have, I think there were 3 clocks in that range. And the bid, and for all purposes, this is all illustrative right now. Nothing's been finalized or decided, because right now we have to fundraise before anything we've done. So this is all for illustrative purposes. So this is the clock right now that the bid seems to be preferential to. It's called the Howard Replica 2. It would, it can come in many colors: green, green, black. It can come in colors. But one of the options is to have to have a logo. So it'd be like the Granada Hills logo that you see on the monument signs and the medallions. It's that little house with the Diodors. Thank you. And then it says Old Granada Village, to identify that, this is sort of the town square of the village between Zelza and Encina. And this would be LED illuminated. It would have chimes for it on the hour and half hour, and it's GPS controlled. So no one has to ever wind it. No one has to put it ahead for daylight savings time. It's all GPS controlled, which is a great feature, because I worked with clocks before that didn't have that, and it's like, after a while they trail 10 minutes behind. They have people out there winding these things. To go with this clock, we would want to do like a plaque. I don't know if we do one on a pedestal with this. It'd probably be one just laid into the base concrete, because it'll be cheaper and easier. And this is, again, just for illustrative purposes. I just had 2 plaque companies mock up a sample to give, credit to anyone who, substantially helps make the clock happen. So if the council does go to help fund this, obviously get a place on the plaque, and anyone else. And I just put up some, none of these people have given money yet. So I just put them up there for sampling. The total cost for this clock and the plaque, everything fully installed, is $20,000. So that's what we have to raise. Some of that we've talked about, obviously going to the neighborhood council, and I've also put in a grant request with LA County's Beautification. Haven't heard anything from them. As well as, we have the option of doing donor bricks in the seating walls, where people could have their name or their family name or their company, and raise some money that way. From experience from the Veterans Triangle, that probably, we'd be lucky if we were able to raise $2,500 from that source. So again, that's some of it, but we need a major funding source for a bulk of it, $10,000 to $15,000. So our request is for funding for $15,000, and that could be all at once, or it could even be split between 2 fiscal years. Because the reality is, to get this permitted and approved, because it'll track on its own separate permit, you're talking about installation next spring. So
in the middle of it.
Yeah, you can pay some of it up, and a lot of companies will work with that. And we also we have some funding spread that allows us to, the timing works really perfectly if we didn't get that other $7,500 until next July. So that, it actually works out. But that's the request. So So we were going to pitch this to the full council, but Brad wanted us to go through the committee. So that's why I'm here.
Question.
Any questions? Yeah.
How about after the clock's installed? I'm sure it uses electricity or something.
Right, so the property owner on the northwest corner has already agreed to connect to his electricity.
Okay. And meaning he'll pay for the power as well then.
Yeah, and it's LED, so it's almost immeasurable.
Well, LED means light. You're talking about the mechanics of the clock though. That can't be LED.
No, but it's low voltage, so it's all very,
Economical.
yeah. So we have the property owner approval to connect to his electricity, because all 4 property owners are also given approval to connect to the water, to their water, to irrigate the 4 parkways. So the property owners are way on board with this whole thing. They're excited, obviously, because it's right in front of them to turn dirt into a nice park. But good question.
How loud are these chimes?
I don't know. I mean, it's early right now, so I can find out if, if there's decibel settings. But, I think we've all heard town clock chimes. My guess would be very similar to that.
What is the warranty period on this clock purchase?
It is 2 years, I believe, with them. And then it provides all the service. Not just during warranty, but for as long as you want them to.
And there's a service contract after the 2-year warranty period? You said they provide the service?
I don't know. I didn't ask that specific. It's probably a service contract. But that's where the bid would continue to manage that, the maintenance. Yeah.
Have you tapped for sources of funds? The big guys in Granada Hills, Walgreens, Ralph's.
We submitted grant applications for the White Oak project to all of them and got turned down. The only source of funding we got a grant was the Patriot Oil Fund. They gave us a small grant.
What do they want in return?
They didn't ask for anything in return.
Okay.
How much were they agreeing to?
$4,000. It wasn't very much.
How about the Rotary Club that they've been approached for funding? Is that
Not yet. But in talking to members of those organizations, they don't have near from what I understand, the substantial funds available that I've heard that the neighborhood council potentially has. So we wanted to start. If we don't get a big initial donor, it becomes almost insurmountable to raise $20,000.
Now, what are you asking for? 15,000?
15.
From the council.
Correct.
Jared.
So I know it's not too close to residential, but are the chimes programmable so that they could stop at 10 p.m., start back up at 8 a.m. or something?
I don't know, but we can find out. We haven't gotten that far yet.
We need to know how loud and
yeah, we haven't gotten
how far
that.
it travels.
We haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, these are all details to be,
Just
explored
raise your
further.
hand, they'll call you.
What percentage of the total neighborhood council monies available for the year is that 15,000?
I don't know. I'm not on
We
the
have to
council.
bring that up into the council.
Well, the annual budget for the neighborhood council is somewhere around 30,000,
30,
right?
37,
37.
37.5.
And they're talking about
Half of
doing
it?
it over a period of 2 years.
But that's as long as the clock is even warranted is 2 years.
Well, they're hoping to have it for life. I mean, the warranty's 2 years, but they're not buying that clock to terminate it after 2 years.
So you're saying that the building improvement district is going to assume the responsibility for maintenance and repairs
Correct.
for the life of their existence?
Correct.
But that's with the package, if you buy the full package.
No, that would be regardless.
Regardless?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because it's in the public right of way, it falls within the bid's jurisdiction of maintenance, including the medians and everything that we maintain. This would fall into that as well.
In the 21st century, with everyone carrying cell phones, I don't understand the necessity for a clock that is probably going to only be able to be seen from one direction.
No,
directions, actually.
two, north and south on White Oak.
No, it's east-west.
East-west.
Chatsworth.
No, you got trees
East-west
there.
on
Well,
Chatsworth?
We've gone
It's
out.
showing it behind the line of the building.
We've gone out and we've visualized it. The designer did as well, and it is visible on the corner. But I'm not here to argue those things. And the point is not to let people tell time. The point is it's a beautification project. It makes a presence. It makes a statement. You have a dead corner of dirt. And you have no presence.
And you're beautifying it.
Yes.
But I don't see the necessity of the clock.
Okay, well that's your opinion, but significantly many more want the clock.
You know, I can see.
You have data to support that?
That's a stupid question. But anyway.
No, it's not a stupid question.
That's not a stupid question.
That's not a
at all.
stupid
None of my neighbors know
Okay,
anything about
come to any of
this.
our meetings and you will hear the stakeholders repeatedly, yeah, what's happening with the clock? We want the clock.
Well, let's count the stakeholders that you're talking about then. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's not stupid, Jasper.
It's not being
Anti.
and it's not being advertised or even promoted in the neighborhood for everyone to know about it. So how can you say that a majority of the people want it?
Well, that's not true because this has been out there in the public for 2 years. We've had 5 public meetings. It's been on the website. It's been published in every agenda for 2 years. I made a presentation at the council a year ago. So the fact that somebody says they don't know about it, that's shocking.
Let me give a little bit of background. The Business Improvement District, Granada Hills Improvement Association, is a nonprofit corporation. They administer the bid money that the commercial property owners for the 8 blocks from Lindley to Encino pay in property taxes. But the Granada Hills Improvement Association is a non-profit corporation. They have meetings every month, open to the public, and annual meetings that we broadly advertise to as many emails as possible to talk about what these plans are. And we had a public meeting with hula dancers and all kinds of people, food, all kinds of things to say this is what we want to do. Okay, the fact that nobody wants to show up at these meetings doesn't mean we're not trying to advertise it. Now the people paying for this whole thing, the part, not the clock, are the stakeholders, which are strictly the commercial properties that pay property taxes into this project. But the Improvement Association, which is a nonprofit, wants to extend beyond those property taxes to obtain other grants for the community to do something else that has been in our plans, but we can't afford it. This district cannot afford it because we are at the limit with the property taxes on that, to get it done. Including the fact that the city, by saying they'll issue the permits, the price has gone up. Okay, so it's a constant beautification project. There's little things here, little things there. The monuments on the medians took years to get the money. The medians took us close to 10 years to get enough money from the property owners to put that in. Everything is this little project. This has been going on for almost 15 years now. This is one more facet to a project that over the last 15 years, you can go back and take pictures 15 years ago and take pictures now because it didn't look like this 15 years ago.
I know, I lived here that long.
So this is one more facet to trying to make our village special, okay, and different. And that's all it is, okay? The medians have no purpose, okay? There's no purpose to them except that they're pretty. The palm trees have no purpose. They're pretty. The monuments have no purpose. It's pretty. And this is just one more thing that when people have shown up at the Business Improvement District, they have said...
I'm sorry, it just seems like a lot of money.
Okay, well then that would be a decision that the neighborhood council can make. And they may say it's too much money, or they might give a smaller grant, in which case the fundraising efforts of the nonprofit Granada Hills Improvement Association will be larger to see if we can do it. And if we can't raise it, it doesn't happen. That's all. It doesn't, we don't represent that board. This is just the beautification committee, and the Granada Hills Improvement wants to have a...
Well, I think it's beautiful. I think it's historically where it beautifies the community. And it's not just about technology, it's about restoring.
This is the beautification committee today.
However, with the limited budget that the city council has, or neighborhood city council has.
Yeah, my job is to ask for as much as I can.
We might not get it.
I know. I mean, you know, I wish I could just.
That's my job.
Hey, let's do it.
We might get something.
We're going to have some resistance in the
Yeah, and that's
city
for you
council.
guys. I'm going to recuse myself from any discussion with you guys as to how much it's going to be, okay? And let you guys decide. And it would not be the first time that the neighborhood council said we're willing to do this much, and then the project fell by the wayside because we couldn't get the rest of the money, and that would be that. So the neighborhood council can encumber money, and then if it doesn't get used, it just goes back to the neighborhood council. That would not be the first time that happened. Yes, Mr. Kuzma?
Yeah, you know, I really like all the White Oak Parkway improvements, and I can see where that's going to be a really great improvement for our community, and in alignment with the community plan's goal to make the business districts more pedestrian friendly. Again, you know, with my wife's position, you know, I don't see really the need for a clock to make it any prettier than what you already laid out here with the benches and everything else. A clock's, you know, just that alone is going to be a major improvement, and a clock isn't going to throw it over the top edge or something. It's not going to improve our property values, I don't think. So spending, the bid has an avenue that the Granada Hills Neighborhood Council... No, hold on.
Don't address this to me, because I'm not in this decision making.
No, what I'm about to say is, BID has an avenue to raise funds that the Neighborhood Council does not.
No, we don't.
Yes, you can do independent private fundraising for your project.
Yes.
The Neighborhood Council cannot do independent fundraising projects to increase their coffers. All right? So we should be the last people you come to ask for. The Neighborhood Council should be the last place you come to ask for money.
Well, that's your
because
opinion.
what we have
That's your opinion.
is limited, and once it's spent, it's gone. Where you have the ability still yet to go to Rotary, to go to other people, to do a public campaign to get private donations for your
Well, that would
bricks
be
or
nice
whatever,
if we went all
and
at
thereby come to a better understanding of how much you're not going to be able to raise that you're going to ask the neighborhood council for, rather than starting to ask the neighborhood council for over half their annual budget, whether it's this year or next year or spread out. If it's spread out, you got 2 years to do fundraising before you ask us for money. So
Well, that's your opinion on strategy,
and again,
and we're taking a different approach.
Well, I wanted to give you
Thank
that
you.
opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
I see that it's, you know, I understand you're taking a different approach. There are more than many ways to skin a cat. I think it's a really beautiful project. I don't really know that $20,000 for a clock is the best use, but I'm not saying it isn't. I find it intriguing. I think the nicer you make this, you're probably going to end up filling some of this empty commercial place over here. But I would be remiss if I didn't point out something that's been bothering me for the past 10 minutes. And that is one of the things my father always taught me: there's no such thing as a stupid question, only a stupid answer.
I apologize for that.
Little respect. Thank you.
Agreed.
My feeling on this, and this is just my opinion, and I am part of the Beautification Committee. One of the reasons that I joined the committee is I wanted somehow to spread that beautification to the rest of Granada Hills, not just on a particular area of Granada Hills. I live further away from all the improvements that have been happening to Granada Hills. And I feel somehow my area has been neglected, and I feel that if we're going to sink a major chunk of the money from beautification into one particular area, I think that would be doing an injustice to the rest of the area. And if you want the people to participate in our community council, we need to show them that we're interested in their area just as well as we are in some of the other areas. The concentration seems to be along this just particular spot.
Because that's all the bid can do.
I understand that, but I'm the public. I'm just seeing things the way they are. I'm just saying, hey, why is everything over there and not over here? Not near towards me. Spread it around. Make sure that everybody sees, hey, we're improving our area.
Well, I agree with that. I wish that they had money to do it everywhere else. But I've paid probably, well, the business improvement people that have paid property taxes of probably over $1 million, more than that, since we started this over 10 years ago. This is the property owners, commercial property owners paying extra assessed property taxes that they voted to voluntarily stick onto their property tax bills, and they've paid into this street well over $1 million over the last 10 years. And I pay into it, okay? I don't pay as much. I don't see anything in front of my property, but I pay into it because this is a commercial property and I voluntarily joined the Business Improvement District. So, you know, if I figure out what it is, I don't even want to say what it is, but it's a lot. And it's not in front of my building. So what they're saying is that they're working at beautification in this specific area because that's the only jurisdiction that they have. Okay, it's limited to the commercial corridor from Lindley to Encino and up and down these various few streets. That's all it was. That's all that we were able to get a business improvement district for. That's all that we were permitted for, and that's, you know, and it takes a petition drive, took hundreds and thousands of hours of our time to get it to that point. I don't have any time to fundraise. Either we get people to help us or it doesn't happen. Okay, if you don't think it's important, it won't happen. But I've spent my time for the last 20 years fundraising for things for Granada Hills, and this is one project that the Business Improvement District might be able to do, but right now they're trying to scrape up the money for the rest of the four corners because of the increased costs. Yeah.
So I was listening to what Renee said, and you know, it resonates. We do want the neighborhood council's money to be spread around and beautify the entire area, and I encourage the committee to take up some projects that can bring improvements to other areas. But you know, in thinking about, you know, small towns, as I've gone to them and as we see them on TV, the commercial corridor, it's kind of the heart of the town, is where people collect. On Chatsworth, so many people drive by. I mean, we all, most of us drive down Chatsworth on, if not a daily basis, at least several times a week, and everybody who takes their kids to and from school. So the improvements that we make there are improvements to the entire community, because it's the things that we see from day to day as we go back and forth. So, you know, to that extent, I agree with you, Renee, but I also see value in making improvements in effectively what's our common area. Because this is the place, I look at the Veterans Park. It's where a lot of people end up on food truck night eating. It's where people that go to Minchie's or one of the other restaurants around will sit down and eat. And this area will become the same sort of thing where people congregate. So, you know, to that extent, I think it's, you know, personally, I think it's a worthy investment in the entire community, even though this happens to be located on our commercial district.
I agree in part with Renee and in part with Jerry. I think our best bang for our buck is to continue developing this area. Like you said, we have the medians, we have the, you know, Veterans Park. I think the money is probably better spent. We have a great basis here for bringing in a lot of people, and as I said before, with a lot of people, more foot traffic, it's going to be more desirable to lease out these commercial properties. You know, add to that, you know, what they're trying to do with the triangle, things like that. You build this place, and I'm not saying I'm an advocate of the growth. I'm not. I don't like the trucks. I don't like bringing more people in, but that's selfish. I happen to have liked old Granada Hills where it was. But that's the plan, and I'm going to go along with the plan, obviously, for the betterment of Granada Hills. But we've sunk so much time, money, and improvements into this area. I think we do get more bang for our buck continuing with this beautification project, although not necessarily the way it's set up right now, although not necessarily not, rather than to start piecemealing and making tiny little improvements around. I think we get more bang for the buck here.
Well, I do want to mention that the Granada Hills Improvement Association has never received, to my recollection, any money from the Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council. All of the improvements you see were paid by the commercial property owners. This is the first request that they are making to ask for money from the neighborhood council in the 15 years, close to 15 years that we've existed.
Well, basically, this is just for our committee. Everything was said is great. Everybody has their own opinions. Being transparent, you know, I love the work. I love what's going on. I'm for the improvement to, you know, to move forward into the future. We got to ask ourselves, okay, we're sitting on this committee. Now, you have a chance to leave a mark here in Granada Hills that your kids can come by one day and say, hey, my family is part of this. You can leave a mark behind rather than not leaving a mark behind. You got to ask yourself, are you willing to vote for something that you made an improvement to in this community? And that's why you're sitting on this board, is to make a mark in this community, to leave behind as something that your family looks back on.
One second. My feeling of why I'm on the board in the first place is because I represent some of my neighbors in my community. And if they feel like they've been neglected because their area of Granada Hills hasn't been improved or somehow hasn't improved or whatever, I think I would be doing a disservice to the people I represent.
Yeah.
And leaving a mark is fine, but a mark is just that, a mark.
But you're leaving historically.
Historically, you know, what value is history if you can't really make an
tons
impact?
of value. Tons of value. You learn
Also,
from
at this
history.
point, it's not like there's another organization
No.
that's coming to us and going, we want to, you know, beautify this other area of
They
Granada
have-
Hills. It's not like we're taking money away from a separate organization.
Right,
It's
but
also looking
they
at
have-
The amount of money that the council has to give in the first place is limited.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm not
That's
agreeing
what-
with.
yeah, I'm not
the
denying
amount
that.
they're
But we have a
asking,
chance to do something. Look, they're limited about what they can do in Granada Hills, and they are doing it. And so we have a chance to improve upon that, even if it's just a clock. But it's a clock of historic.
It's a $20,000 clock. Okay.
Value has nothing to do with it. You gotta realize that value has nothing to do with it.
175,000. And the medians was $500,000.
So she hasn't sold.
Things
so
are not
let's see.
cheap. Things are not cheap. Things cost more than
Yeah, it's
people.
100, just, in case you didn't hear that, go ahead and repeat what the business movement district is paying for Granada Hills and what the.
Yeah, well, just, she was asking what the total project cost is of the 4 medians, and it's $175,000 just for those 4 medians. And then I just mentioned that the 4 parkways, that the median project was over $500,000. So, you know, things cost money and things are not cheap. That's the fact of the matter.
Let's hear from her, since
Yeah,
it's the first time she's raised her hand.
Yeah, I think that the corners and parkways improvement project is going to be beautiful. I think that a clock would be a lovely addition to it, but my concern is the lavish budget and of this, especially because this is the fund that it is being taken from is the Neighborhood Purpose Grants Fund, which is also, you know, a fund that also goes to our elementary and high schools and things of that nature. And obviously, for a beautification committee, they should weigh in on a beautification project. I'm concerned about the dollar amount of $15,000.
Well, that's what we're here to discuss.
Right.
And for this committee to happen, we are just recommending to the council what we feel.
Right.
It's the council's decision, final decision, that what they're going to offer.
So the dollar amount isn't.
The dollar amount doesn't.
Today will not make that
No.
decision.
It's just
Even if it's
a recommendation
it still goes
to the
full
council
board.
to say, okay, we think we should offer this much, and then we'll have a big old discussion, and believe me, it'll be a big
But
discussion.
the recommendation will come from this.
The recommendation will come
From this committee, yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to share my opinion that
Yeah,
I think 15,000 is lavish.
Wow.
I think it's not questioning whether this would be a beautiful thing
Yeah,
to have. It
exactly.
absolutely is.
But we also
It's
have
not
we also have a chance to leave a mark with, you know, being on the committee and saying, hey, we were part of that committee. We put this.
It's a wish list.
Well,
And it's okay.
it's also why I had mentioned and brought up, you know, splitting it between 2 fiscal years and 2
That's
fundings is possible.
Has the bid also looked at that possibility of splitting it once the Parkway improvements budget, on a future year's budget, doing this clock project?
The 175 is all of our funding through 2016. We have no more money.
Right, so that's like 2 years from now. So there would be another
Be a
new
long
funding
time.
after 2016 in 2 years.
Yes, Mr. Guzman?
To piggyback on what Renee was saying about being prepared to serve other parts of our council, having been to meetings for a year, we do, Renee, we give to the Friends of the Library, which is over in your neighborhood. Unfortunately, neighborhood purpose grants can only go to a nonprofit organization. So there aren't that many of them around that can actually ask for a neighborhood purpose grant to begin with. But what we have to remember is we now are going to annex 6,000 plus homes from the San Diego Freeway to Balboa, from Devonshire down to Lassen, and that includes a school, several more business properties that could use some beautification in the future. You know, the old North Hill Center is going to be in our jurisdiction now. Male Elementary School. I don't know what else. It might be a church or two over in the Lutheran, St. Stephen's with the light, the stained glass. So again, I would like the committee members to keep in mind that all of a sudden our council is going to grow by several thousand more households and business properties as well. Of course, not several thousand business properties, but again, now we have to make our small budget even get spread out further. So I just want you to use caution. I don't have a problem with donating some money towards the clock project, but I would really, think that if a concerted effort is made by the neighborhood council, made by bid, to get the word out to the community, to ask for private donors, you got $10 from everybody in Granada Hills, you're funded.
We don't have the resources to do that kind of campaign.
But it can be tried.
I'm just
It can be tried.
I'm stating a fact.
Linda can tell you about Kickstart.
Yeah.
Why not?
You know what? Because the budget went up for the Four Corners, we're already talking about going out there ourselves physically to remove the ivy and the weeds on the corners to see if it'll cut the cost of the contractor who's going to do the corners. We're talking about maybe enlisting a lot of people who will go out there with shovels and stuff and help us. Before they formed that corner there, the neighborhood council and the chamber went there and mowed the corner in person, okay? So, we're already talking about...
Perfect project for the outreach committee.
Right. Okay, so I was saying, we can't do everything. This is a problem.
I know. I just wanted to bring up the additional people we're going to have.
What else the Granada Hills Improvement Association has done, they painted all the light poles. They put those little curly little Q's on the light poles. They put those permanent banners on the light poles. We fixed the sidewalks on Chatsworth Street. You couldn't have taken a wheelchair across Chatsworth Street before without bumping into a big piece of asphalt. You couldn't even walk in front of the Chamber of Commerce office without risking your life. The Business Improvement District cut all of that bad asphalt. If you go there, you can see the difference in the color, not the asphalt, but the cement. You can see the newer cement versus the older cement because it hasn't cured as long. They did that. That's probably what brought the food trucks. We made the street beautiful and then the food trucks came. They weren't here before we fixed the street. So, it's a big wide sidewalks, and that was a big part of the budget. The budget goes through the city of LA, and it goes through engineer departments and everything like that. So, just so you understand what this improvement district does.
I feel like the amount, I know you're trying to stretch it and see how much you can get. I think that a lot of people, are caught on that aspect of the proposal. I think if we agree on, maybe consider a lesser amount, like $5,000 or something lower that corresponds to, the funding amounts that we have utilized for other projects, like, Christmas tree lights and everything like that. I think that the max we spent on that was like $5,000. I think that's kind of a more reasonable amount that we can kind of digest. So maybe thinking of donating a lesser amount, and that could potentially also encourage other people to contribute, seeing that there's a more
Absolutely.
substantial chunk that's been donated toward getting everything done.
And my line, I was thinking maybe we can donate 5,000 this year, maybe 5,000 next year.
Which would be phenomenal.
Which would be $10,000.
That would be amazing.
It's not such a burden on the budget.
Makes raising the other 10
Well,
a lot easier.
I'm not gonna make any motion. As a matter of fact, Renee, you head the committee now, and you three are the committee at this point.
Yeah.
So you guys, if you guys want to make a motion, then make it. It goes back to
Well,
the
The other point I wanted to make is that, when Jet was, the head of outreach, and we were trying to get the street pole banners done for years, and that cost a substantial amount of money. That was like $5,000, and that's something that, has maintenance. It's not as permanent because the wind knocks it down, it has to be maintained, it has to be replaced, all that. This is something that has substantial weight and is a fixed, permanent object. So I think that, it's going to have more of a long-term impact. And it does have that kind of nostalgic feel, and it, lends itself kind of that smaller community.
Plus, we're going to maintain it too.
Yeah, they'll maintain it, and then if the bid's going to be taking over the maintenance of it long-term, and we don't have to worry about that, which was a problem that arose with the Triangle Park, where, we were having to do supplemental funds. If, they're agreeing to take care of that, I think that's great. And it's also, not just, the functionality of it, yeah, we don't necessarily need clocks, but it's, like Bonnie was saying, it's a beautification thing. And it's also, lending the aspect of sound. Like, not everything is pretty and, nice to look at, but the fact that it's going to have that, the chimes, I think that kind of gives a nicer feel to the community as well. Yeah.
Instead of horns.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm for 5,000 each year.
I think I can agree to that, and I think Gina should be the one that should propose it since she came up with it. We can second it.
Each year?
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
Not each year.
Let's do 5,000 each year.
No.
Semantics.
I would say 5,000 for this year, and then, it's going to be discussed in council, so,
So we can at least put it up and say
Yeah.
5,000 a year.
yeah, 5,000 for this year and 5,000 for next year, potentially.
I second.
So what's on your agenda next?
No, you have to take a vote. Now you could say the motion was made and a second.
Second by,
Okay, now you could ask, so is there any further discussion? Now you actually have a motion on the table.
all right. Is there any more discussion on the item?
Oh, this is where we get official public comment, right?
Yeah.
I'm concerned that you're making a decision for next year, and I'm not really sure that you can vote on next year's budget when you don't know how much money you're going to have yet.
Well, then we can.
I think you should. I think your motion should stay for this year only.
Yeah, I think for this year is all we can say
Is
anyway.
that a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, I was
making a
kind of
motion?
leaning toward that more anyway.
Yeah.
So let's focus on this year, this upcoming year, and then.
Okay, so the amended motion
It's for 5,000 for this year.
is $5,000 for this fiscal year, right?
So that's 1/7 of the neighborhood council's budget, annual budget roughly then?
Any other comments? No?
Do you guys realize he asked for this amount of money and you can divide it between 2 years? And you said, well, no, we can only give them $5,000. And then it was going to be $5,000 this year and $5,000. You're getting $10,000.
They're not. They just said.
Until the board approves it, they're not getting
Yes.
anything.
They
Yeah.
can't do anything this year for
It's
this.
Make it-
still-
it's a starting
I
point.
know, it's
We
still
just
asking.
amended the motion for $5,000 this year only. When it comes next year,
It's a separate issue.
It's
Yeah.
a separate
You'll
issue.
get a chance to talk again at the general meeting.
Why is it stupid?
Any other
You don't have
discussions?
a budget. That's why it's stupid.
Did you call for a
You live
vote?
outside your budget. You end up
No,
going to
we're not living
make.
All
outside.
right, when the discussion ends, are we fine,
Yeah.
Cynthia? All right. Let's call it to a vote then. I'm fine with this. It's just 5,000 for this year. That's pretty much what it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
That's your-
Just a recommendation.
Right.
It's a recommendation.
Yeah, you gotta get your foot in the door.
Bonnie and Renee, just want to make a point for Brown Act, you need to call for the ayes, nays, the abstentions, and to just announce that it's unanimous.
Okay, it's unanimous then.
No, I put it down, Darren, Renee, and
Gina.
Perfect. The names are announced, that's all it
Or
has to
the
happen.
three board, the three board members. I put down that Bonnie.
Committee
recused
members.
herself.
Right.
Yeah, that'll leave some others.
Do you have a card for me?
I think I have one. I ran out of the office so quickly I forgot to grab a stack.
I think I spoke with you once about the pots.
Maybe.
Not yet. I still have to do public comment, not agenda
Okay.
items.
You're done with
They did
me.
it in reverse.
For your time.
Thank you very much. Thank
We
you for your
could
time.
take these to the next.
I left some more.
So, okay.
Yeah, I left them there.
Because at the next time there's a neighborhood council meeting, there'll be
Yeah, let
a
me.
bunch of
I
those.
don't need all of these.
Why don't you do them all with us, because they'll take them all to the next neighborhood council meeting.
You hungry? Yes.
Okay. Oh, I didn't need agenda. I didn't.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
That's where I'm going.
All right.
Good.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night, Brian.
Good night.
Okay. All right. Now back. Okay. So now I'm going to open up for public comment on non-agenda items. I didn't give you guys any cards, but this one will be weird. Okay.
That's okay. You can just ask for them.
All
Go
right.
ahead, Lauren.
All right, so let me do this. Let's some notes. Okay, so Linda, you want to go
Yes.
first?
Yeah,
Okay, so
well,
that's Roman number 3, public.
I'm here to request that for next month's agenda, the plaza project be on the discussion.
Absolutely. And can you bring materials with you, like this stuff?
Absolutely.
Do you have any recent updates?
In terms of, well, the most recent thing is that there was a Rotary Club meeting at which Andy and Jake, I was there on Jake's invitation, and very graciously, and Andy and Jake and I spoke, and Jerry was present, and they said at this point that they were still not in favor of the project, but I think that it's important to take into consideration that we have nearly 1,000 petition signatures and also 14 signed letters from business owners on the block between Zelza and Yarmouth. And so what happened at that meeting was that Andy had a report and he said, well, this is what's concerning me. There was only 50% of business owners at the existing plaza in the Silver Lake area who said that they felt it was advantageous for their business. The 45 said that it was neutral and 5 said that it was detrimental. So we had 50 advantageous, 45 neutral, 5 negative was the report. And so Andy said that he felt that that was cause for concern. He wanted to see something that was greater than 50%. And I pointed out that the report was dated October 2012, when that plaza in Silver Lake had only been in existence for 6 months. As of today, as of March of this year, that plaza has now been in existence for 2 years. So I asked Andy if I could get more recent data than something 2 years old. Would he be willing to take that into consideration? And would he be willing to look at that? And he very graciously said, yes, he would. As I said, I think we can do better than a 2-year-old study from when the thing was only around for 6 months. So I'm hoping that this week or next, so I spoke with the community partner of the Sunset Triangle Plaza. She was very enthusiastic, very gracious, and very helpful. And I'm hoping to go meet with her and the fronting business owners this week or next and get what data I can from them and share it. And like I said, they were very enthusiastic about helping us. They said that they felt that the plaza has been very positive for their business, in particular Mornings Nights, which is the largest fronting business on their plaza there, Mornings Nights Cafe. And there's also...
What's the name of that location again?
It's called Mornings Nights Cafe.
No, I mean the one with the corner. Silver Lake?
It's in Silver Lake. It's called Sunset Triangle Plaza. And the primary fronting business there is a cafe called Mornings Nights Cafe. And they felt that it has been extremely positive for their business to be in front of the plaza. And so, like I said, I plan to meet with her this week and see if she can provide me some numbers, some percentages, because she's the only business that was there both before and after the installation of the plaza. The other 2 fronting businesses, which are a restaurant and a small grocery, opened at the time the plaza opened. They were not there prior to the existence of the plaza.
But they can still contribute.
They can still contribute to the discussion about what they're, because they can speak to what it was like to lose the parking spaces for them, what it was like to have a farmer's market there, what it's like to have people not be able to, park but have to walk a short distance away, and how they feel that, because these are very big concerns for Andy and Jay. And so I think it's important to address them from business owners who've had the same first-hand experience for the last 2 years in a similar project, almost identical project. If you look at the way they have a little triangle that was a small park with, I believe, a fountain in it and stuff. They blocked off the street between the triangle and the businesses. They lost about 5 parking spaces. And so I think it would be really valuable to get first-hand information from people who've been through that thing, that is similar, incredibly similar project. It's under the same People Street, City of Los Angeles program. So I think it's really valuable to have their input, and I'm very glad that Andy and Jake very graciously agreed to take that into consideration.
I think that sounds great. It sounds very promising.
Well, I think that, Andy was very wise. He said, well, anything that we do right now is just speculation and guesswork. And I completely agree with that. Decisions need to be based on data. And so I think that it's very logical for him to say, I would like to see some data. And so I'm doing my best to be able to provide that. I think that's very sensible of him as a business owner, totally reasonable thing to ask for.
With that plaza, was there any impact on traffic patterns?
On travel patterns?
On traffic.
Traffic patterns?
Like taking away that?
Yeah, it would be taking away, it would be almost, it's so identical to what we've got. It's like there's no traffic, it's pedestrians and bikes only in that area between, if you could visualize it, like from the triangle across to where Menchie's and Margaret T. Wilson's office are there, and then the right turns happen at the light. So it's geographically very, very similar to what we have here. So yeah, they lost parking spaces, and they lost the cars being able to go right in front of those businesses, and now they have to go up into the light to turn right. Almost identical to what we have.
Will DOT do a study on it?
Yes, the way it works is they do it in phases. So phase 1 is community support. You have to establish that, which is why we've done the thing with gathering petition signatures and going around and talking to neighborhood organizations like the Neighborhood Council and the business owners. So phase 1 is community support. Once you've established that you have enough community support for a project, then phase 2 begins, and phase 2 is when DOT actually comes out and does their more detailed traffic survey. I mean, they're not going to invest the resources into doing all that if there's no community support. So phase 1 is community support, then phase 2 is when you get into your detailed plan about traffic impacts and such and so forth.
The proposal is only for a year, and after a year it would get reevaluated, correct?
Basically correct. It is for a 12-month permit, yes, and it's all temporary and reversible. And but if, for example, Menchie's said, this is horrible for us, we're losing business hand over fist, they have the option to pull it prior to a year. So they could do it if it was only like 3 months, and if this is a disaster, we hate this, then it does not have to go for the full 12 months.
Who would decide as to whether that's so or not at that point?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly how the process for that, but obviously Andy, the franchise owner of Menchie's, would have a big say in that because his business is one of the most impacted in the area. So, but so yes, the application is for a 1-year permit, and which is how the Sunset Triangle started. They started with 1 year, and they said this is great, and so they decided to make it permanent.
Did they make it permanent?
They did make it permanent, yes. And so after they had their 1-year trial, but so it is for a 1-year permit with option to pull the plug if it's just a horrible disaster prior. It doesn't have to be the full 12 months.
Yeah, sounds good.
No, I get it.
Did you sign my sign-in list?
I did.
Did you give me your email address too?
I think I'm already on the...
Well, for me, because I may, I can't promise it.
You
but
guys
I may
haven't
email
met.
my
Bonnie,
agenda.
this is Jeffrey Board. Jeffrey is the new board member.
Oh, Jeffrey. Okay. Then if you're getting the emails from the neighborhood council,
I have,
yes, I will see that. Very glad. Okay.
Just for the council.
I am sending it to the council. I don't have their line.
I only have one public comment, non-agenda item. Of course, Bonnie, you know my feeling about how the agenda posting went for the meeting. Hopefully the next month's meeting, when we're going to have this topic of the triangle come up, we can get Aaron to send out an email blast to all the stakeholders so they have a chance to come and participate in that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we can adjourn.
Wait, are there any other questions for me regarding the plaza that I can answer?
I think.
I mean, it's, at this point, it's all theoretical and ethereal until something actually happens.
And besides the fact that it is reversible if and when there's a negative impact to it, I don't think
Yeah, that's
it
a
can go
pretty
wrong.
major point. I don't remember hearing about that prior,
Yeah.
but I think that is, a really good reason to support it. If there's that kind of wiggle room to be able to.
Yeah, I did confirm. I confirmed that only recently. I didn't know, that if that was an option or not, but I did confirm with DOT that is an option to pull it prior to the 12 months.
And of course, if we have Andy and Jake, the two people that's most affected by it, supporting it, then we can't see why we would object it.
Well, I remember when, back when the food trucks were a whole big fiasco and we had to have a little subcommittee, going between the business owners and the people for it, people against it, and there were a whole bunch of issues with that, and then they were adamantly opposed to it, and then they saw the influx of business that came from the food trucks, and then they came over the other side. So, I mean, you never know until it's actually implemented.
And actually what happened with that is, at first it was somewhat terrifying because the food trucks were coming, they were coming at night, but they were blocking parking spaces from 11 o'clock on. And that was 2 days a week. And there was nothing to stop it from becoming 5 days a week, and they could have just basically killed all the local businesses. And that has happened here and there. And so the Chamber of Commerce got a handle on it to say, well, you have to have a bathroom accessibility for each food truck or they can't be there at all. And it was 2 nights again, and the businesses were still upset by it. But when the Chamber went around and said, can you handle one night? If it was just Friday nights, and the businesses said, yeah, we can take one night. you know, and they all sort of compromised on the one night. But it would not be the first time that events such as that, where you start blocking people's parking, it would put businesses out of business. I mean, what do you think happened to that corner over there where we used to have like Fiesta? What was that restaurant? It was owned by El Torito. But they basically went out of business because they lost, a lot of their parking was usurped by people who were not in their parking lot.
Yeah, Councilmember Englander, I spoke with his chief of staff, John Lee, and he said that the way they envision the plan, there's 4 parking spaces in the plaza area right now, and those could be offset by replacing addition, because you would gain parking along Zelza.
Right.
So it would be a net loss of only 1 parking space.
The study would be nice. Are you going to have that for the next meeting for beautification, you think? Councilman, do you think you can get
I
that?
sure as heck hope so. I mean, there's 3 business owners plus a community partner, and so I'm trying to get 4 people coordinated for a meeting time, and I'm sure you know that can sometimes be difficult.
I don't know what happened to Krishna, but I don't know if I have. I'm sending the email to the whole board, and I wonder if she's not in that too. I don't know. But anyway, Monday nights work best for the beautification committee. That's great. Because you're the one that has Wednesday night meetings, right? Okay. All right. Tuesday nights also good for you guys?
I'm workable.
Not so much.
I have it on Monday nights.
Monday nights is better.
Okay, then I'll try to do it a month from now on a Monday night again. Monday seems to be most of it.
So I'll get an email when
Yeah.
it's scheduled.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Are you looking, it should be posted on the website too.
are there any Monday nights coming up in the next month or so that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not available?
Myself?
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, it's Monday night's
Okay.
fine for me.
I'm gonna try to make it a Monday night again, and then we'll have the agenda out, and I'll put you on the agenda, and so I'll try to make sure I email it to you also, when I print out my draft and everything.
Thank you.
It might have to be after the final version. Does anybody else have anything to comment about? There's other things that beautification can talk about for future agenda concerns.
Cynthia's got something. Oh my gosh.
For instance, oh yeah.
I don't know who has something to do with that flashing yellow light that was put in.
That's
Oh,
the
so we're-
public
That's
safety
crosswalk
committee.
safety
That was a public
committee.
safety.
Public
committee.
safety.
That needs to be read. People just go right through it when it's yellow.
I sit on the public safety committee.
I didn't tell her what we talked about, Darren. I'm sorry.
We are,
It just, on my heart,
We
I
understand.
stop and people are coming and the guy next just goes right
we're
on.
addressing the problem.
Bonnie wants to know what you want to do to make Granada Hills beautiful.
Not safe.
It's not safe, just beautiful.
Safe is beautiful.
Being
I'll
a
tell
person
you.
who crosses that block probably more than just about anybody, when they put in the crosswalks, tremendous difference on the traffic, tremendous difference.
Oh, yeah.
It was like very noticeable, I mean, as far as like trying to get people stopped. And when they put in the flashing light, that also helped a lot. Now, I really like the ones on Zelza where it's actually throughout
On the street.
On the
Yeah.
street,
Yeah, that's a good
They're,
idea.
they're yellow, they're not red.
That's what the committee's proposing is the in-light
Yeah.
street
You know,
lights.
the thing is that our public safety committee got that thing in there so amazingly fast that heads were spinning. It was amazing. Because I was shocked. I mean, because I know that some people here have been trying to get a light on the corner for ages, but there's too many lights around. And so that is a very convenient thing. You hit it and it immediately flashes. And it might not be the best thing, but it's like, you know, world's better than nothing.
And Bonnie, you weren't there last meeting, but Ross was actually sending a letter to Mitch Englander's office about, you know, getting the
On the street.
in Granada.
That would be great, but we should give our thanks to Mitch for doing it to begin with, because that was the fastest thing I've ever seen the city do.
You should go to Ross.
Huh?
Yeah,
You should,
Ross.
all the
Yeah.
credit
Yeah.
goes to Ross.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we've been trying to get something on that corner for the 21, 26, whatever years we've been here. And then they go and they say, somebody's going to get hit there. You know, well, the first one, they got the zebra stripes in. That was the first thing. That made a difference.
It is going to be costly though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't get everything you want everywhere you want.
No, but there's some options out there that we're going to bring to the committee, so you'll see some options that we're going to have.
Yeah. Where, do you cross that street a lot?
What?
You guys do cross that?
Oh, I
Not that-
drive on Chatsworth all the time.
Now we're down by Louise, so.
I've seen it when it was newly installed. I saw people being confused by it.
Yeah.
They didn't know whether to stop or to go. The first one might stop, and the second one will just go faster. They don't know how to handle
Now,
this.
the law is they're supposed to stop if a
If somebody's
pedestrian
gonna-
is there, no matter what's
Exactly.
flashing.
Exactly.
The thing that was difficult about it is during those high traffic nights, or
Right.
food truck nights, it's just a constant stream of people.
And people keep pressing
And they
it.
keep pressing it, so there's,
Yeah,
what I was
that's sort of
wondering,
bad
if there was
thing,
a way to have like a timer on it, that,
Right.
you know, it will only be able to flash, you know.
So often.
Yeah,
Yeah, that won't
intermittently.
stop people from crossing the street when it doesn't flash,
Yeah.
so they'll push it and just figure that
Yeah.
across.
But I think it's more of a problem, you're right, it's not gonna stop flashing at all the entire
So drivers
time.
get impatient.
Yeah, they're gonna go through.
We've got a problem
Yeah.
with just bad drivers around here. Aaron and I were sitting over here near Menchie's at the Veterans Triangle Park. I guess I think it was this weekend, in the evening, watching people come around that sweep. And I would say, it wasn't the majority of cars, but a little more than half of that. Actually, nobody stopped. A lot of California stops, but at
Well,
least
because it
1 in
used to
4
be-
went and
Right
just,
through it.
I mean, gun through it. And it was
Yeah.
cars that were being driven by younger people, obviously, from the way they looked. So
Well, that doesn't matter.
No,
it
no,
just-
we saw
they
it.
just boom right through
It
that
doesn't
stop sign. You know, they don't pay much attention to traffic control devices.
So it might actually, the little People's, whatever they call it?
Maple Street Plaza.
Maple Street Plaza, that might actually kind of curb that a little bit, because having to actually
Go up to
turn
the
right on the
light.
corner, you know, at
Slow
the
The
down.
light,
light, yes.
they'll have to stop as opposed to just tearing to the
That's
curb.
true.
That's true.
Well, I am gonna ask for patrol over here in the evening, since I've observed it to be a good money-making operation, which means maybe we can get somebody out and it'll improve safety.
Yeah, I was saying that at the meeting, they could make hand over fist money passing out tickets
Tickets.
to
Oh,
drivers who
I
don't
think-
stop for pedestrians.
Yeah, that idea.
And that's how they can pay for the clock.
Very good.
Yeah, that one goes to the general fund.
I will say this,
I'll say that
you actually mentioned a really good reason they can't make it red. No cars would be able to ever go through it, because it would be red the entire several hours on Friday nights. You would end up with the traffic being blocked. It would just be roadblock all the way down to, everybody would have to go around through the residential areas instead.
Well, it's
because-
hard to get down Chatsworth on track night anyway.
No, but if you had a red light that
Oh,
never
red light.
stopped,
Yeah.
it would be a serious problem.
Yeah, well, if it's flashing, then it's supposed to be a stop
Well, I
and
mean, they
go.
stop and they go, but
Yeah.
still, I think that could, I don't know, I mean, I.
If the pedestrians were a little more cooperative with the cars, then they would let people go across and stop for a while. And let-
Actually, I was going to suggest, why not all the food trucks on one side of the street instead of both sides of the street, so to lessen the crossing of the street in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Renee.
Well,
Yeah,
now that the special event permit ordinance has passed, that is realistically, if it was decided, that's something that Mary, as the organizer, could actually do. I don't know that it's a good idea, but the flexibility that will be added by that ordinance would allow her to make a change like that. And maybe it is feasible in the winter, when there's less trucks, to say, okay, everybody, all on one side. But yeah,
But
do
you
something
know what,
popular
some
about
of the stores want them and some don't. The ones way at the end of the block in front of Veterans, the VFW, they're sad that they're not there. The VFW wanted them there and they're not there. So, and people now make a round where you go up the 2 blocks and down the 2 blocks. So it's hard to say what people want. Some of the owners, I'm sure that the food places would prefer to have nobody in front of their place, like the pizza place. But on the other hand, some of the other businesses, quite a few of them ended up just closing their doors at 4:30, where they used to be open till 6.
It does seem that they concentrate more toward this end.
Right.
Is that because the sidewalks widen at that point, because it's a major intersection, or?
No, the sidewalks are all wide all the way. We have relatively wide sidewalks. It used to be when there was more trucks, it was jam-packed all the way to White Oak, I guess. I think it still goes to White Oak.
Now that White Oak,
starts at White Oak, and then during the slower months, it kind of trails off west of Yarmouth. But on the on the months when it's really active, it's solid.
Yeah, it's from White Oak to Yarmouth, mainly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
now, but with White Oak Parkway being beautified and benches put in and stuff, wouldn't that make sense that the food trucks would be more around that area?
That would make more sense,
Yeah, it would.
And then they're not blocking businesses either. Not per se, but Women's Center's not open. And then there's a parking lot on the other side, only the liquor store guy, but he's already got him in front of his place anyway. You know, they're just going...
The food trucks don't want to park in front of that parking lot, I guess, but I mean, it's wherever they want. They have their druthers and Mary...
But maybe they would like that once it gets done.
It's under control now. It's really well organized. They put little blocks down saying this is for this truck. People, they're making reservations.
They used to be fighting and
It's
stuff.
a completely different situation.
It's just that the people that are going to the trucks are not really safe. They're not following proper safety rules.
Well, you know what? At first, with the 60 food trucks that were there for a while, the people were walking through the medians. They were running through the median. They were crossing in all parts of the street.
Incidentally, a little piece of trivia you might not know that Mary worked out, and that was because the people were crossing in between the food trucks. She asked all the owners to come up bumper to bumper, so that you can't. It's very difficult to walk between them. So she arranged that, and if they're not bumper to bumper, they'll put their generator down there or something else in the way, and it's not heavily advertised, but she arranged for those trucks to park in such a way that it discourages people from crossing mid-street. And I'll also say that in the history we've had here, which, one of the counts I did during the first year, I estimated we had about 12,000 people out there, and that was one of those nights when you couldn't make it through the street. This was based on time counts of people going across a certain point, and also a spot count of everybody out there, so it's a pretty good number. We've had a handful, I think less than I can count on one hand during the entire several years of incidents, and I think one person went to the hospital, and that wasn't even a traffic accident. That was somebody who got in a fight with one of the food truck owners and got his teeth knocked down his throat. It was a very unfortunate incident, but it wasn't traffic related. I don't think we've had anybody go to the hospital with traffic related. We've had some minor injuries. Whereas in Venice, a few years ago, we had that 2-year-old was I believe the 2-year-old was killed, and there's been a number of other traffic incidents down there. So this has been a, relatively speaking, a safe event.
We can also cordon off just that block between Zelza and White Oak, and like farmers market sometimes what they do is they cordon off.
That's a major event that takes a big permit, people standing at every corner, the street fair's happening.
Sounds good, though.
That's why we need the People's Street project in the corner, right, Linda?
Yeah. You guys don't know how I feel about it.
No, I think
it would be a good. I think it enhances the safety. It gives people a place to go. It enhances access to. Veterans Triangle Park is very popular, and Food Truck Nights is a place to sit and enjoy. And it takes pressure off that park. It makes it safer to get into that park, but also makes, an additional place.
Okay, so more comments. I'm going to call the meeting adjourned. Like we said, on the minute, it's 8 o'clock, so 10 to 8, so we're good. Adjourned. Do we, no, any more comments? I don't think so.